put 6.5 million people on the road 2 days before a storm that you don't know where it is going. It is absurd.
That, of course, is Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner blasting critics who said the city should have had a mandatory evacuation. Again, as someone who was from there, that is very difficult, especially when you look at what happened, of course, 12 years ago with Hurricane Rita, where a number of people, upwards of hundreds, died just trying to leave the city. Today, folks, more rain in Houston, 1 to 2 inches. But the problem today, and it's not Houston, the problem right now is what's happening east of Houston in the Golden Triangle, known as Port Arthur, Beaumont, and Lake Charles. Massive amounts of rain. There are shelters in Port Arthur that are also seeing floodwaters. They got overnight in a 6-hour period 11 inches of rain. In fact, someone posted last night a photo of a highway where they literally had caps on the water that you swore you were looking at ocean. No, it was an actual freeway that we're seeing as well. All kinds of problems there in the Gulf Coast region. And again, east of Houston, where the rain has actually moved away from Houston. Again, these storms are going towards Louisiana. Lake Charles, not lots of rain there, but Port Arthur, Beaumont, massive problems there. Folks are actually posting on social media. Of course, reports of being rescued. One particular report had a woman saying that her grandmother had water up to her knees. She was in a wheelchair in her home. They've been putting the addresses out there as well. This is a major, major issue, folks. You heard there, Mayor Sylvester Turner saying 6.5 million people. Now, when you go outside of the Houston zone, Beaumont is, of course, 90 minutes away. Now you're talking about even more people. This is how devastating this is. Folks, the death toll has risen. It's now up to 30 folks who have died, including a Houston police sergeant, Steve Perez. Investigators say he was last seen leaving for work on Sunday, but on Monday, Cruz found him inside his vehicle in a flooded underpass. His wife asked him not to go to work, but he said, I have to. Family members are remembering retired high school coach Reuben Jordan. He was last seen Saturday morning helping rescue people from high water. Now, there are various reports on the exact death toll. New York Times, they say 30 confirmed and suspected flood-related deaths. That number is going to certainly rise. The National Weather Service reports that 1 trillion gallons of rain fell in Harris County over the past 4 days. The reports that more than 50 inches of rain fell in the town just outside of Houston, topping the previous high of 48 inches set in 1978. 6,000 people have been rescued, trapped in their homes. Estimated 17,000 are now staying in shelters. That number, again, is going to increase. Now, a pair of 70-year-old reservoirs that protect downtown Houston started overflowing as even after engineers began releasing water from them on Monday to ease pressure on those dams. There are now fears more neighborhoods along one of the city's main bayous will flood. Mayor Turner has issued a curfew from midnight to 5 a.m. to crack down on looters and home burglaries. He also says the largest shelter, the George R. Brown Convention Center, is now at capacity. Now, next door, the Toyota Center, where the Houston Rockets play, will take the overflow from crowded shelters.
The services to meet the needs of people, the services are here. The George R. Brown is here. Their homes are here. The medical care, here. The Red Cross is here. Pharmaceutical services are here. And I am the mayor of the city of Houston, and I can work to meet their needs.
And again, a lot of folks were saying that folks should be evacuated, but as the mayor is saying, the services are already there. As I said, the storm is moving east. There are already reports of flooding in New Orleans. Mayor Mitch Landrieu says the city is prepared for the weather and will still try to help Houstonians.
Houston begins to go through the great agony of what we went through, and we attempt to rebuild. It is our unified position that the nation should be ready to respond like they did for us, and we are absolutely certain they will do so. And of course, we will be there to do our part.
Now, of course, yesterday, Donald Trump, he visited Corpus Christi, promising to help flood victims in Texas and Louisiana. Trump and his wife, Melania, arrived in Corpus Christi. The two sat down with Senators John Cornyn and Ted Cruz when they visited a center there in Austin. Also, Housing Secretary Dr. Ben Carson was there as well.
We're going to be working with Congress on helping out the state of Texas. It's going to be a costly proposition because, again, probably Ted Cruz is here, and Senator, thank you very much, Senator Cornyn, and we'll be working with these characters over here, and I think we'll come through with a really, with the right solution.
Of course, many folks are concerned if Trump and a deeply divided Congress can work together to approve the billions of dollars in funding needed to help rebuild the Bayou City. Also yesterday, folks, and I'll pull it up in just a second, when Trump visited Corpus Christi, he thanked the large crowds for showing up. Many folks are criticizing him for showing virtually no empathy for the residents of Texas. You have not heard the traditional statements from a president thanking the first responders and also showing, again, empathy for those impacted. In fact, Trump yesterday in his visit did not visit any shelters at all, did not do anything when it came with residents there as well, people who are impacted. Let's talk about that as Greg Carr, Chair of the Department of Afro-American Studies, Howard University, Eugene Craig III, CEO of the Eugene Craig Organization, Spencer Overton, President of the Joint Center for Political and Economic Studies. It's interesting, Eugene, yesterday Ari Fleischer was on Fox and he was talking about this lack of empathy by the president. He was saying that, look, in times of crisis, this is when people are expecting a president to show something, to rally a nation. Trump pretty much is focused on money and is focused on businesses and saying things are going great, we'll rebuild, but you might want to show some compassion for the people being impacted.
Absolutely. There was criticism about how President Bush executed the recovery of Katrina, but I don't think anybody could question if he had empathy for the people that are impacted by Katrina. When Sandy hit New Jersey and New York, everybody saw and felt the empathy from, President Obama, Michelle Obama. With Donald Trump going down yesterday, one thing that he could have done to at least score some major points was show a large amount of empathy, a large amount of sympathy, a large amount of, hey, we know you're going through a living hell right now, and, I'm here for you, I feel for you, and that we're going to put the full weight of the federal government behind it.
In fact, this is Shelley. Go to my iPad, please. This is Ari Fleischer yesterday on Fox News talking about that very issue.
What would your advice be to President Trump as he sets foot there in Texas today?
Well, that's right, Molly. I was with President Bush when he went to see the devastation caused by fires in Missouri and Arizona and tornadoes in Missouri. And there was something missing from what President Trump said. I hope he will say it later today. But that's the empathy for the people who suffer. That, in my opinion, should have been the first thing he should have said, was that his heart goes out to those people in Houston who are going through this and that the government is here to help them to recover from this. And then secondly, the job of the president is to thank those who are the first responders doing all the rescuing. That is a huge morale boost to those working so hard away from their families. Their homes are often flooded, but they're sacrificing themselves to save others, and the president needs to thank them. That's what a presidential visit can accomplish. I hope President Trump will return to that in some other public setting later today.
It is a tremendous...
Again, Spencer.
So how much of this, though, is the Republicans' discomfort with the role of government in terms of Ted Cruz criticizing funding for Sandy back then? Now, hey, obviously they want some support. So how much of this is Republican discomfort with the role of government?
I think the party's split on it. Chris Christie was on.
No, they're not.
Wait. The party is actually.
Nobody is split until they are impacted.
Well, I'll put it this way. I'm far from a Christie defender. Chris Christie and another network yesterday made it very clear that Republicans in Congress need to take serious action when it comes.
Again, let me say it again. Eugene, let's be honest.
If I'm advising the president, I think this is a damn good time to pivot towards infrastructure, particularly when it comes to Flint, Michigan, and Houston, Texas.
Eugene, There is not a single Republican in Congress that if their town was devastated, they would not be begging the federal government for help. This, Greg, is the hypocrisy of Republicans.
No question.
Where they criticize criticize big government, yet when you have national catastrophes, that is when big government responds, and they all are there going,
that's right.
Can y'all please fill our hands?
That's right. I mean, this is a real tragedy. I mean, Roland, your family, my sister and brother-in-law had to get out. They're now in Austin. It's what we saw Mayor Turner do. That's compassion. He says he has some control. Chief Acevedo yesterday almost weeping openly over Brother Perez that lost his life. That's what it's. I don't really have a criticism of Donald Trump for this because what we saw was Donald Trump. He's got a hat on his head. He's selling his website. His wife's in her Storm stilettos, and she's got a hat on just to remind everybody she's the FLOTUS. It was Trump being Trump. He's fascinated with the destruction. He's talking about the director of FEMA's TV ratings. Meanwhile, you got 600,000 undocumented immigrants scared to go to places because they're afraid that people are going to report them. You've got the Texas delegation, as Spencer said, voted against Sandy in 2012. Now they're going to beg
20 members.
That's exactly right. 15% of the people in Harris County have flood insurance. Most of it's federal, and you got 160 public school districts closed and at least 30 charter schools. Meanwhile, this is what it's going to reveal. What it's going to reveal is you've got a country where local government and state government must take the lead, and the President of the United States is not a president at all. All he was doing yesterday was Trump being Trump. Let's be very clear. One third of the capacity in the United States in oil refinery has been shut down as a result, and it's still raining. Now it's moving to Louisiana. Remember when Donald Trump sent some water down during the campaign to Baton Rouge? They had to take the Trump ice labels off of the water in order to distribute it. Kellyanne Conway had to do that. What am I saying in sum? What I'm saying in sum is that what we are seeing now is the stress test on what people are. And as you know, old folks used to say, character is what you do when everything is revealed and stress comes.
And in fact, Spencer, to Greg's point, Shelley, go to my iPad, please. You see the city of Houston has put this tweet out. We will not ask for immigration status or papers at any shelter.
Now, how are you going to deal with that?
That's what the city said.
I mean, the city had to make it clear they have told federal authorities, you're not going to go into any shelter, deporting people who are here for shelter. Eugene, real quick.
I think it's absolutely deplorable. We've read a couple of reports that when the storm first hit, that ICE literally left immigrants at bus stations that were waiting for their bus. It just left them there. I think that's absolutely deplorable. That's inhumane.
Come on.
Oh.
Weekdays on TV One.
I will never lie to you.
Oh my God.
Roland Martin.
He doesn't want to talk to us. He wants to ignore us.
Uncensored.
Hell no.
That ain't gonna cut it, boo.
Unapologetic.
No, that is fundamentally false. You are wrong.
Unfiltered.
He wants an America where we all look alike. He ain't talking about black people.
Unrelenting.
You better go work out, because you got a fight on your hands.
News One Now with Roland Martin. Weekdays at 7 a.m. on TV One.